The college football experience, Big Ten and SEC conference preview episodes on the Sports Gambling Podcast Networks, presented by WynnBET. Bet $100 at WynnBET and get a $100 free bet. Head over to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/WynnBET. That's sportsgamblingpodcast.com/WYNNBET to claim your free bet today.
This is Randy Cross. You're listening to SGPN. Let it ride.
Yes, yes, yes. Woo-wee. Welcome to the college football experience. SEC. Big Ten. Conference previews. If you're wondering who the hell this idiot is, my name is Colby Swinging Database Dent, aka Pick Dundee. That's not a pick. This is a pick.
He was raised in the land down under, where a man thinks on his feet, speaks with his fists, and lives by his wits.
When Dundee happened, he was a superstar.
I smoke and I drink and I don't have stress and I'm healthy.
I feel like Colby's got like a movie or two worth of
watch out. Don't
there.
find me more clips. We'll have I'll just be hitting buttons for 10 minutes on the introduction. Oh man, this is the last two previews we do conference wise. Next week, folks, it's our locks episode, our win total locks episode and week 0 picks.
Yowzas.
Stay tuned. We only hit at, I think if you round it up, it would be 72%. I believe it was 71.5% last year. Yeah. That is absolute fire. That is better than any college football podcast I've listened to. All right. Just gonna throw the BDE in the air. I am joined by my co-host. Give it up for former JMU Duke defensive back, the burrito eating, sideline kiss stealing, wheeling and dealing, Patty C in the place to be.
Hi-oh.
Yes.
Give me those tunes, baby.
I'm hitting buttons.
Days of Thunder is appropriate for the SEC.
It is.
If you watch the first 2 minutes of Days of Thunder, it's very SEC.
Except for the fact he's from California.
Yeah. Eagle Rock, right
Eagle
here.
Rock, right fucking here, right?
Well, they recruit a bunch of California quarterbacks.
That's true.
We are
not only quarterbacks, a lot of California players.
Colby,
Brock Bowers, Georgia star tight end, is a Colorado guy. Eli Ricks, the best corner on Bama, perhaps. California guy.
That's true. Do you know Cole Trickle is based on Colby Dant?
Yeah.
Out of Eagle Rock, he's a hot shot college football
There you
specialist.
go, man. Right.
He goes down to the south. That's what's going to happen. You're going to
Rubbin's racing, man.
Rubbin is racing.
Right. I am joined by third man in the booth. I'm gonna ditch the Sunbelt introduction. The DFS God. Remember, come play DFS with us every single week of the college football season. Give it up for the Rooftop IPA drinking, homebrew making, Tobacco Road living, the free lack a given. Former Herndon Basketball League MVP. Give it up for NC Nick in the place to be.
There we go. What's going on, guys?
I'll just get you. Yes.
Dialed in.
Football is coming. Yes, football is coming. We can't fucking wait. Yeah. I'm sick of previews. I'm sick of previews. Kick the fucking ball off today. Okay. Sorry. I got excited. Excited.
Record that. Put that one on the track.
That dude, Weird Al Yankovic. We looked this up the other day. Made $25 million in his career. All right. I can do this.
Colby's
Put me in the game, coach. Put me in the game. Let's. Well, I guess before we get into it, I guess there's some news to talk about.
More news. I mean, we recorded last night. Something happened in the last 24 hours.
I mean, injuries are just happening. We had so many injuries. Patty C's had a disadvantage with all those injuries. I briefed him this morning. But we did have a little NIL deal. Shout out to Dakotas Crawford.
I'm so glad we called SOS. RAC is the coldest.
I'm always the coldest. Hey, this is Dakota Crawford, wide receiver from Louisiana. Now I'm playing in Lincoln. When your AC isn't Dakota's, you call SOS Heating and Cooling. Their techs don't make commissions, so they give you an honest opinion, fair pricing, and longer warranties than the competition guaranteed. Take it from Dakota's. We will keep you cool this summer.
Who says NIL's a bad thing? That is fire.
That should
God
be
bless
required.
America.
Yes.
Regardless of whether you actually do anything for your NIL deal or not, NIL deal, you should be required to make one of those commercials.
That is just fantastic. Absolutely.
There's gonna be some bad acting in college kids doing commercials. I can't wait for the humor that comes out of that.
I mean, how are you not taking Nebraska now, knowing that he's on that team doing that commercial? You laying the
It's gonna be hard not to. It's gonna be hard not to.
What is it? 12? Is it 12? I think that line is what, 12 and a half? Last I saw,
11 and a half
earlier today. Yeah. Folks, next week we're previewing games next week. We're here. So we got to get through this, and then a few other teams. If we're still going 131 teams, solo episode for every single team in the land. We should be done by early next week.
How many you got left?
There's some that I have recorded that aren't out yet, but there's some. So that to record, I think it's down to like 11.
You got the W's. You got Washington schools, Wyoming,
West Virginia. Take me home.
Western Michigan.
The Virginias.
Yes. Yeah, I got the Virginias.
Youngstown State.
Yeah, I wish.
Valdosta.
Maybe I will do. Should I throw in a Valdosta? Folks, look, I'm very excited to talk. We're going to go Big Ten first. Big Ten first because they have not been as good as the SEC lately, but they do have a better TV deal, it seems like. Anyway.
Oh, that's some news, apparently.
What's that?
Upon my request, Gavin Newsom has convinced the Board of Regents.
Patty C wrote his governor, and his governor answered and said, "Hey, I'm going to try to stop UCLA from going into the Big Ten." And apparently, today was the first hearing, I think, and it took one step in that direction. But I'm still not believing that UCLA is not going to the Big Ten. They're going to the Big Ten, I think. But if you're hoping and praying, it took a step in the right direction today. All right. What else? We had the Calipari Stoops battle. Do we want to talk about that? Calipari saying, "Hey, this is a basketball school." And Stoops and even the athletic director is blaming the media, even though both coaches are going at it. Stoops apparently has said a few times, last time I checked, the SEC football pays the bills. What do you guys make of this thing? A lot of fun.
All I heard Stoops say was that I know to stay in my own lane. Did he elaborate or say?
I think he tweeted. Yeah, I think he said I'm stay in my lane, but apparently he hasn't picked up the phone. Calipari tried to call him, playing hard to get. Patty C knows that all too well.
Oh yeah. All the football fans chase me around for opinions. I just gotta play hard to get.
Off you.
That's right. Something like that.
It was a ridiculous comment by Calipari. Even if it's completely true, there's just no reason for it. I don't understand the reason to basically throw your football program under the bus.
Yeah.
What was the context of that?
I think it was because Kentucky got their practice facilities recently, and not and the football program did, the basketball program did, and something to that effect.
I saw something else where Calipari recently was talking about how he would never go to play at Washington or at Gonzaga.
Yeah, he's playing in Spokane, but not in the Kennel. He said it's 6,000 seat stadium. I went back through Kentucky's history, and they haven't done that since since fucking. Like Pat Riley or something. I don't know. But
I mean, just thumbing his nose, like just being the biggest douchebag blue blood he could possibly be.
Some of the Kentucky players getting into it on Twitter was fun, calling him out saying, "Hey, we won 10 games. We didn't lose to St. Peter's or a team on the equivalent of St. Peter's."
So you mean some of the Gonzaga players getting
No. Some of the Kentucky football players were coming at Calipari. And but I will say this, Kentucky, watch what you say, because you only beat Chattanooga by 5 last year. All right, so
and what has Kentucky football really won?
Well, the Governor's Cup, the Governor's Cup. That's all that really matters, right? You win the Governor Cup.
I mean, about as much as Kentucky in basketball hasn't been guaranteed that.
Calipari's only got one national championship at Kentucky. But it's still he
might be getting a little self-conscious there. You know,
like his peak might have been like 6-7 years ago.
Well, he started doing the one and done, and that used to work really well. Now I don't think it works as well, but
Agreed.
We will see. He's adapting. He's changing. But this is a football episode. Guys, let's get into this because Big Ten odds to win the Big Ten East. I'm gonna start there. Ohio State minus 320. Why would anybody bet that? Michigan plus 400. Penn State plus 950. Michigan State plus 1800. Maryland 800 to 1. No, 80 to 1. I'm sorry. Indiana. 100? What's that? 120 to 1. Any chance the Hoosiers repeat their magical COVID season?
No.
And then you got Rutgers 500 to 1. Come on, Scarlet Knights. What are we doing here, folks? And curious your thoughts on. I mean, you have to play Michigan or Penn State, right? Or Michigan State, maybe. But the fact Penn State hosts Ohio State, if they win that game, they would have a tiebreaker. So even if Penn State loses at Michigan,
plus their values more than double that of Michigan's.
Yeah,
on the payout.
You got to take Penn State, right?
I feel like
they have a tiebreaker if they win the rest of the games. You know, I don't trust Penn State to do that.
I don't trust it either. I would say Michigan's actually the play because I think Michigan's going to be right there, and it really just comes down to that game. Even if Michigan drops one in the regular season, they'll still be in position to win the division and then probably the conference if they can just go into Columbus and get that W.
We were bagging on UCLA on the Pac-12 episode for their scheduling. Michigan's schedule is absolute dog shit. They should be ashamed of themselves.
They very much should.
And I believe they canceled. I think it was, it's funny. I'd have to double check this, but I thought they canceled a UCLA matchup. So
I know a while back they canceled
was
an
it Arkansas matchup. Yeah, I think they canceled a couple, but they're at a conference schedule. Colorado State, Hawaii, and UConn.
All at home.
All new coaches, all the first 3 weeks of the season. That is fucking. I know they couldn't control the coach
all
thing,
losing
but
group
still,
of 5 teams.
That is fucking pathetic. That is a pathetic out of conference schedule.
Yeah,
and that is why maybe you bet them. to hit the over.
The fact that also they get Penn State and Michigan State at home.
Yeah, and
they have one road trip to Iowa.
Back to back away. Oh no, they do at Iowa, at Indiana. But
dude, they're going to be in position on the last game of the season.
They won it last year, and what team went to the college football playoffs that also returned 9 starters on offense?
Yeah.
Now the defense took a big hit, and the defense was the better of the 2 units a season ago. I still think it's Ohio State, so I'm not going to touch this. But if you're going to make a bet, Ohio State, the odds are you just can't lay minus 320. So if you're going to make a bet, I think definitely it's Michigan.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's either Michigan or Penn State, and let's hop into these win totals here. Rutgers at 4.5, Indiana at 4. That's even more hilarious. Rutgers has a higher win total, but yet the worst odds. And Indiana at 4, Maryland at 6, Maryland State at Maryland State, Michigan State, Maryland State might as well be right anyway, Michigan State 7.5. Penn State 8.5, Michigan 9.5, Ohio State 10.5. Can we start Maryland State?
We should. Where would Maryland State be? Baltimore?
That would just take over Frostburg State.
Shout out to Frostburg State. I've been to a Frostburg State football game. All right. Representing some D3 college football.
I think I went on a recruiting visit to like Eastern Maryland or something. It wasn't Frostburg, but Eastern Maryland could be Maryland State.
I saw them play at John Hopkins football field.
Who did? Frostburg versus Johns Hopkins?
Yeah.
Amazing.
I always get confused. Is Frostburg towards the mountains or towards the coast?
No, Frostburg's right. It's not far from like Deep Creek Lake.
It's towards the mountains.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
By Cumberland, Maryland. Yeah.
Maybe Maryland Eastern Shore is what I was thinking is definitely, obviously, towards the water.
And I read something that they might be trying to start a football program. Let's go. What's the most obvious win total you like there? I mean, let's talk about the race. I think it's a 3-team race. I don't think Michigan State's there. luckiest team in college football last year. Them in Northern Illinois. So I think it's a 3-team race between Ohio State, Michigan, and Penn State.
I think it's just. I mean, I have to agree with you, but I think it's silly to write Michigan State off completely after an 11-2 season. You can chalk a lot of it up to luck. You can say, hey, statistics typically.
Well, and also schedule. They drew from the West some of the worst teams in the West
last year.
Yeah,
this year they have Minnesota and
Wisconsin.
Wisconsin. Okay, so that's a little tough.
Like we saw it in the COVID year
at home though. That's weird.
True. Well, they play 3 teams from the West.
Yeah, who's
right?
the third?
The
Illinois.
third is Illinois.
Yeah, on the road.
It's kind of actually a favorable from a home
not bad.
situation.
But Illinois had their number lately. I know that goes pre-Tucker era, but
well, I think the question is Sparty the Indiana of 2020? You know, they went.
I don't think they're that bad.
I agree. But Indiana went 6-1 in the COVID year, only to follow that up with a 2-10 year.
They do have a lot of similarities because if you look, and this is kind of what I mean, and I know Patty C on some of our previews or whatever, we've argued about this, but Indiana that season, the COVID year, they were outgained in like almost every game and won. And that's what I mean is it's an anomaly. When you're that, I'm not talking about 5 yards outgained. All right. I'm talking about a gigantic advantage outgained, you know? And to me, that normally tells the tale of how lucky one team was. Northern Illinois is another one. And to me, that's why I'm riding the under on Michigan State. And you might see me have it next week when we preview these teams.
That confident. So I thought it was interesting to see their team total only at 7.5. And I think the chalky play would be to take the over because I think most people are going to look at returning starters, 9 back on defense. That's a lot. They won. What was the record last year? 10-2 or something?
11-2.
11-2. Okay. Yeah. So I think a lot of people see that 7.5. They're going to smash the over. Not so fast. I think Vegas knows that. And I think, they're expecting a worse year as well. So I think, I'm on the under also. I don't feel great about it though. I don't see how you can feel that confident. I mean, getting to 8 wins is not that crazy. Obviously, Sparty can do it.
True, but I just think when you follow those stats from year to year, first off, and they had 130th ranked pass defense. To me, if you follow that, they can't be that lucky the next year. It's just, it's impossible to be that lucky from year to year.
I think the big game is week 3 at Washington. I think they beat Western Michigan and Akron weeks 1 and 2. If they can go 3-0 out of conference, I think they could definitely hit 8 wins, especially, they have Indiana, Rutgers, and Maryland in the East. That's basically 3 wins right there.
I don't know. I think Maryland might be able to play with them this year, man. I think Maryland might be able to play with them this year. If you have the 130th pass defense, Maryland's got some really good fucking wide receivers and a quarterback that can sling the rock.
Well, last year, what was it?
They got, I don't know. Did they get worked
last year? Michigan State won 40-21.
Okay. That was in East Lansing. They got to go to College Park this year.
We know Loxley against good teams, Maryland doesn't show up. I'm actually on the over Maryland with Maryland too this year because I think the talent level's there.
Yeah,
I think the schedule's there, but I would still favor Sparty to win that game.
What was the count last year? 40 to
21.
Come on, guys. This is a team. I mean, granted, they've been not that great for the last 5 seasons prior to last year. But it was year 1. It was the end of the D'Antonio era, the beginning of this. So it was that transition period. And now they're back on track to where they were. 10 wins. I would say it's probably about right. I think Vegas probably has it about right. Between 7 and 8 wins is what we should expect. I just went from the under and jumped up to the over. The luck thing does stand out. The terrible pass defense thing does stand out.
They got outgained by Indiana by over 100 yards last year. Indiana won 2 games. This is my point. Is like
found a way to win. I just think when a team does that, maybe even when they're not that great, it's because they have talent. We all know that. We see blue bloods. Not that Michigan State's a blue blood, but they're definitely a level above a lot of the Big Ten. And when teams have to step on the gas, they do it when it counts, and that's what they did all last year.
Doesn't the line smell to you, Patty?
But
doesn't the 7.5 smell to you?
But
exactly. That's why I'm on the under.
But Pat just made this argument before we hit record. why is Nebraska's win total at 7.5? Because they realized that Nebraska outgained everybody they played last year. They just lost all these close games. Vegas pays attention to all that shit.
Well, Vegas can bite me because a win is a win, right? And you can project and you can use all these fancy numbers you want, but jumping Nebraska from 3 to 8 wins in order to hit the over, that's asking a lot.
Sure. I mean, look, you
they've
could
done
be right
it 100 times where they've lost close games. That's what Nebraska does. And Michigan State under Mel Tucker might be the same team that they were under D'Antonio, except the defensive part. But as far as running the ball and winning close games that way, maybe that's their identity.
Perhaps. But I'm going to go ahead and play the Indiana angle, and it's not only Indiana. I feel like I've done this with a few teams, where to me, and I hit on these last year, I believe. Some of my locks were finding those teams. I think NC State could be another one, where I think the under is the play. Everyone's on the over, and you look at last year and you say that schedule lined up perfectly for them to go like that. So anyway, Michigan State, can they make a run for the Big Ten East Championship?
No.
I think you're crazy to say they can't. I think you're crazy to say they can't.
130th pass defense.
And what was Ohio State?
I don't know.
Like 110?
I don't think it was that bad.
They were 99th, or something.
Ohio State, I think they're just so far more explosive on offense. They also get a bunch of guys coming back on defense, and I think that new coordinator is going to do some things there. I expect the Buckeyes to be better defensively this year. I mean, they were pretty bad last year. It's not going to take a lot to be better, but as long as they can be middle of the conference with that offense, man, ain't nobody stopping the Buckeyes this year. They're going to win this conference. They're going to be in the playoffs. They're probably going to play Alabama in the.
Not so fast.
Not so fast. Patty C has actually. Patty C has convinced me some on this.
Yeah, okay.
And and Phil Steele too, about Michigan's offensive line perhaps being the best in all of college football. That, and then I keep hearing Harbaugh saying Michigan has never had a trio of receivers like this. I guess Bell being back, who was named team MVP, and then a couple of newcomers coming in. They had so many
all back at tight end.
Yeah, he says this is by far. He goes ever. He's not talking about in the Harbaugh era. He's talking about ever at Michigan. And then when you add in the fact that the quarterback play, they have two capable guys. So if one goes down, you got that. But they got to be better this year at passing the ball. You would think another year. The
game's in Columbus this year.
I know, but I'm just saying. I'm not saying that they're definitely going to beat Ohio State, but I will say this. I kind of am bullish on Michigan to have a pretty damn good year because of those things.
I'm on the over too. That's one of my favorite plays is Michigan with the over, because Ohio State's over. Was it like minus 250 or minus 300? It's something crazy. So you really can't bet that. The Michigan over 9.5. Last time I saw it, minus 125. I definitely like that. I do think Michigan's right there. I think it comes down to that last game. And, against Ohio State and that really awful pass defense last year, Michigan, McNamara only threw for $160. Now, granted, there was some weather in that game, which maybe limited the passing. But I think this game in Columbus, I think that's your difference maker. Ohio State beats them this year.
Look, I took Ohio State to win that game, but I'll say this: like a month or 2 months ago, I thought Ohio State's going to wax them.
I wouldn't say that.
I actually think Michigan might have a formula to fuck with them if their offensive line's that dominant, keeping the ball on the ground, limiting the time CJ Stroud can get the ball.
Sure.
I could totally see this game being 21 or 28-28 in the fourth quarter. But I'm taking Ohio State. It's in Columbus. I know it's personal. I know Day's been pissed about it, but I do think that's closer than what the odds are saying.
So you guys agree with Michigan and the over? I think that's a slam dunk, especially with that weak ass out of conference schedule.
I think it's my favorite play in the Big Ten East. My only thing is I feel like I've seen a lot of people say this. So it is a little chalky.
For me, I think it's basically, is it a 4-game season? At Iowa, at Ohio State, home to Michigan State, home to Penn State. Is there anybody else? Home to Nebraska.
Nebraska, maybe. Yeah. Nebraska should have beat them last year.
But you're telling me, if they go 3-2 in those games, they hit the over. They'll go at least 3-2 in those games.
Yeah, I agree.
So I think this is a pretty clear cut and dry overplay. I'm all over the Wolverines.
Yeah. That's
a lock. That's a lock next week. Early, a little preview there for you guys.
Okay, now who could surprise? Could Shiano? He got him bowling last year, even though he only won 5 games. Shiano's like, God bless COVID. All right. Any chance Rutgers or Indiana go bowling?
I would love to say Rutgers, yes, but originally when I saw that number at 4.5, I was like, oh yeah, I'm on the over. Then when I was looking into the schedule, I don't know if I see it, man.
Yeah, I'm on the under.
From the Big Ten West, they get Iowa, Nebraska, and Minnesota. I think week 1 at Boston College with a healthy Jerkovic, I think they lose that game. I don't see. I mean, yeah, they beat Wagner and Temple, but their conference schedule is brutal.
You know what they need? They need the divisions to break up today.
Yeah,
and there's Shiano's going to make it work if that breaks up.
More Illinois, less Ohio State.
Yes,
please.
Yes. Indiana. Is Tom Allen? Do you think he needs to win this year, or did the COVID year buy him a couple more years?
When you say win, what does
make a bowl?
He needs to go bowling.
Chimichanga bowl.
Nah, he's safe. This is Indiana. If he gets close, if he gets to 4 or 5 wins, if he gets to 5 wins, he's safe.
I mean, it sounds crazy because Big Ten and SEC are the 2 powerhouse conferences, and you find a lot of the conference races kind of boring.
I
know
mean,
what I mean? Like,
yeah. Well, hold on. Go back to Indiana 1 second. I mean, do you see him getting to 5 wins? Are you on the over with Indiana?
I took the under. I took
Same
the
here.
Under. Yeah.
I think
the under.
I mean, a big game week 1 is home versus Fighting Illini. That's a winnable game. Both teams are sitting around a 4.5 team total. The loser of that game, I think you're feeling really good with an underplay. I do think Indiana probably beats Idaho and Western Kentucky.
They only beat Western Kentucky by 2 last year. Granted, it's not going to be the same Western Kentucky team.
Zappy's on the Patriots.
And I think that was at Western Kentucky last year. They get them home this year.
Still, that's one that on a schedule where you're hitting the over. Those need to be like, your foot's on the gas,
guaranteed win,
and you're bashing those teams.
And also the Indiana Rutgers game is huge.
Yeah,
and that's at Rutgers this year. You might want to lean Scarlet Knights there. So I actually think under 4 is a pretty solid play on the Hoosiers too.
All right, I'm going to make a case. I'm on the under 2, but I'm going to make a case for Penn State winning the Big Ten East.
Let's hear it.
If they beat Ohio State at home, right? Their road trips aren't brutal. The biggest game of the season, I think, for Penn State, besides the Ohio State game, is week 1, Thursday night, while the backyard brawl is going on. Penn State is playing at Purdue. If they win that game, the road schedule at Michigan, but they can lose that one, at Indiana and at Rutgers.
That's true.
Sean Clifford's first time with the same offensive coordinator so he's had 4 offensive coordinators in 4 years. This is the first time he's going to have the same offensive coordinator 2 years in a row. Penn State, I'm telling you, plus 950. Why not? Because we saw this a few years ago. What was that 16 or 17 when they went to the Big Ten championship? Should have been in the playoff, got robbed.
Yeah,
and
right.
they played the Big Ten championship. And they beat Ohio State in Happy Valley. This could happen still. It still could happen.
It's actually not that big of a stretch. With Clifford there for what, the fifth year now? What year is he?
Yeah, 5th year senior.
Fifth year senior.
I don't know, guys. I don't see it. I think was I the only one on the under 8.5? I don't see Penn State winning 2 more games than last year. I've never been sold on Sean Clifford. And I'm kind of high on the Boilermakers. I think Purdue might win that game week 1.
I think so too, but I think it's kind of a 50-50 game. My point is that if they get past that, they don't need to win the Auburn game.
Right.
That's irrelevant. Yeah. And then their road schedule, they even get a bye week before the Michigan game. So their schedule is kind of nice the way it sets up. Even if they lose to Michigan, they could get in on a potential 3-way tie.
No back-to-back aways.
Yeah.
Is it possible? Sure. I'm not seeing it though.
I feel like Franklin's best when no one's looking at them.
True.
When they're projected top 10, I feel like that's when they're barely beating App State in overtime in week 1.
Hey guys, Joe Hackney's in the chat. Joe,
snap.
To answer any of your questions, on my journey up to the Commonwealth of Virginia to place bets, I did place a wager on the Michigan over. Is that the only one I did in the East? I think so. Might have had a couple in the West too, but in the East, I actually did play some money on the Wolverines on the over, even though I think the Buckeyes beat them and win the Big Ten East.
Yeah. I mean, I'm on the shout out to Joe. All right. Well, I made my case for Penn State. Yeah.
Here's one point: getting Purdue, hosting Minnesota, and hosting Northwestern out of the West is an amazing draw.
That's what I'm saying. They avoid going to Wisconsin or playing Wisconsin. They avoid Iowa. They avoid Nebraska, who is the odds wise
talented for sure.
Yeah, second projected to be in second place according to Vegas.
That's right.
But this is still the same team that lost to Illinois last year.
In 9 overtime.
But they're also the team that should have beat Michigan. They had Michigan. They look like they had Michigan beat.
They had Michigan dead to rights. Yeah. I see it. I took the under just because I do think they're going to lose the Auburn game on the Plains, and I think between Michigan and Ohio State, they'll be the dogs in both of those, and that puts them at 3 losses. And then it really just comes down to the rest of the games on their schedule, and Penn State's been known to drop one. So I'm taking the under, but you're right. I think they're a sleeper.
I'm on the over. I'm on the over with them. And I'm on the over with them, and I think I might take Purdue. So if that tells you something, I think they're either going to get one of them. They're either going to get Ohio State or Michigan. One of those teams they're going to catch.
Okay.
Get those Buckeyes. Yeah. Get those Buckeyes.
All right. Well, let's hop over to the good old Big Ten West. But before we do that, I want to tell you the college football experience, SEC and Big Ten conference previews are brought to you by WynnBET. Bet $100 at WynnBET and get a $100 free bet. Head over to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/WynnBET. That's sportsgamblingpodcast.com/WYNNBET to claim your free bet today. We're also brought to you by Odds Trader. What is Odds Trader? You're probably wondering. Well, Odds Trader is a place to compare odds from all the major sports books. You can also compare different sign-up codes, promo codes, promos for promo codes, different sign-up codes and promotions is what I mean, from sportsbook to sportsbook to assure that you get the best deal possible. The app also provides player statistics, key game stats, injury reports, projected game day weather for bettors who make the most informed bets possible. It also has a bet tracker, so bettors can keep records of all the games. I think that's fantastic if you're betting on, like, if you're like me and betting like 5 different sports at the same time. Fantastic. Get organized. Go to oddstrader.com/Blue Wire. That's OddsTrader, the #1 site for all your game day bets. All right, we are back talking Big Ten football conference preview edition. So I was a bit surprised looking at the Big Ten West. The odds-on favorite to win the division: Wisconsin +190, Nebraska +360, Iowa +400, Minnesota +450, Purdue +600, Illinois +2,800, and Northwestern +8,000. There.
Why not? Why not a little sprinkle on Pat Fitzgerald's boys? Come on, they won it like 2 years ago. Or I'm sorry,
dude, they've won it twice. They've won the division twice in like the past 5 years.
I'm hammering that over too.
Boom. You send Patty Fitzgerald to Ireland to start the season. He's going to go get his Lucky Charms. He's coming back to the fucking United States, and he's going to do what he does every time he has a shitty year: rebound with the fucking division championship.
That's right.
Exactly. You know what I find most amazing about this is what the fuck does Kirk Ferentz have to do? The Iowa Hawkeyes since 2020 have won 16 of 20 games. 16 of 20 games. They've appeared in the Big Ten title game. They had a top 15 defense both years, and yet Iowa is unranked in both the AP and coaches poll, and they're returning like 90% of their fucking team.
7-7, 7 on offense, 7 on defense. I think it is disrespectful. I think 7.5 is kind of crazy too. I think this team could easily be 6-0 going into Ohio State. Pull up that schedule, Patty C.
I'm gonna pull it up, but just to 16 out of 20 over the last 2 years. Yeah. That's 80%. 80% times 12 games is 9.6 victories. That's what their average has been over the past couple of years, and here they have them down at 7.5 once again.
That's in a COVID shortened season,
getting slept on.
The fact that they're not ranked, and I mean, when's the last? They haven't had a losing season since 2006 when they were 6-7, still went to a bowl game. They haven't had a true losing season since the year 2000 in 20 some years. I mean, They have over 7 wins almost every fucking year.
Yeah, they hit 7 wins in their sleep.
Unfucking believable. Unfucking believable.
Yeah, if you're looking at a Michigan State ticket over 7.5 or Iowa ticket over 7.5, I mean, who do you trust more? And by the way, who doesn't have to play? Well, actually, Iowa does play Michigan and Ohio State. That's your one thing here is that
well,
from
one
the
of them's
East,
in Kinnick though.
From the East, Iowa gets Michigan at home and at Ohio State, which is pretty darn brutal.
But do I need to bring up?
Their non-conference is also brutal.
Do I need to bring up the fact that Michigan has had a horrible track record in Iowa City?
Well,
all right.
I'm chalking that game up for the Hawkeyes. That's why I said they could be 6-0. I mean, I said they could be 6-0. Do I expect it? Maybe not, because that would mean beating Iowa State at home, beating Michigan at home, road trips at Rutgers, at Illini. They should be able to handle that. Beating South Dakota State week 1.
Michigan hasn't.
That game could be closer. Have you seen a line for that game? Probably not yet, right?
I have not.
FBS.
I mean, what South Dakota State did what last year? They beat North Dakota State, the FCS national champion. I feel like pretty recently
they waxed Colorado State.
Yeah,
dude.
Do
Michigan,
the Jackrabbits cover? If that's like a 28-point spread.
Oh, it's not gonna be 28. No way, right?
I don't know.
No way. Iowa
20?
can't score 28 points, right? Dude, Michigan hasn't won in Iowa City since 2001, since over 20 years ago.
Now, obviously, they don't play every other year.
But there's still a decent amount there.
But still, yeah, your point's there.
I mean, especially the cross division shit didn't happen until later. I mean, some of those years they were playing every year.
It's gonna be a 3-point game there. Who wins it? We don't know yet. But odds are that Iowa gets them there.
Well, I'll tell you this: when you tell me like Michigan's strength is their offensive line, and that they're going to run the ball a lot, and you're just sitting there like that's a perfect formula for Iowa to win because
playing right into their hands.
Yeah. But I was shocked at having Nebraska. You know me. I took Nebraska. I locked them up last year. I look like a fool, and they're favored ahead of Iowa. Whoa, Las Vegas, relax. I was shocked that Wisconsin. Hello, Graham Mertz sucks ass. Until I see him complete some passes, how can you put them as the favorite?
Here's the thing. Not that it really affects the conference slate, but they do have a weak ass non-conference, and then kind of. I mean, they don't draw Michigan. You chalk up the Ohio State road trip as a loss, but other than that. Getting Minnesota at home is huge. I guess at Nebraska, they do have to go to Michigan State.
That's what I'm saying. Even the Northwestern plays them good.
You know, the West Division is a complete crapshoot.
That's look between the SEC and the Big Ten. I found the SEC West is fun because of how many good coaches are there, but it's kind of chalky and. I don't really find it that interesting. And even the Big Ten East, I'm sitting there like, well, Ohio State's kind of gonna walk away with this thing. It seemed like, but Big Ten West, sign me up for every weekend. I know NC Nick hates the Big Ten West, but at least we don't know what's gonna happen.
Very true. It is like the ACC Coastal. Let me ask you this: is the West, Big Ten West, the worst division in all of college football for quarterback play?
Who do we got?
Aiden O'Connell and Tanner Morgan might save them.
Tanner Morgan, he's solid, but he's more a game manager.
What about Casey Thompson with Mark Whipple?
Big question mark, right? We don't know.
But you have a decent point there. I'm trying to quickly think.
Well, I mean, go down the list: Spencer Petras, Tanner Morgan,
stud, dog. Graham
Mertz,
Petras, dog.
Fighting Illini quarterbacks. I mean, give me a freaking break.
And, is Vedral?
No, Vedral's at Rutgers.
He's at Rutgers still.
No, he's
Satowski.
Satowski. That's
Satowski's at Illinois.
Okay.
They got but Tommy DeVito / Satowski.
Awful.
Petras, Spencer Petras, Graham Mertz, Holinsky / their other quarterback at Northwestern. This is fun.
And this is what
good old-fashioned football.
This is what leads me. My pick to win the Big Ten West. I'm going out on a limb. I'm tired of being chalky. Look at the spreadsheet. I got the Boilermakers and the best quarterback in the division pulling it out. Call me crazy. If they lose to Penn State week 1, I might change my tune. But tell me why Purdue can't win it, guys.
Well,
because
I mean,
they've never done it before. Okay.
Well, yeah. I mean, but they do have a nice schedule the way it aligns. I think getting Penn State week 1 and avoiding Ohio State and Michigan, huge.
Yeah.
Huge. And you get Penn State to come to West Lafayette. However, I think we're sleeping on the Minnesota Golden Gophers, my friend, because they went back to the well, meaning they fired Mike Samford, a terrible offensive coordinator who Colorado thought, hey, let's give this guy some money. But they went back to the well when they had an elite offense, a top 20 offense, and they hired their OC from then, and then
that was what 2 years ago.
Yeah, with Rashad Bateman, and then they went out and they landed some nice pieces I thought in the portal, especially on the line of scrimmage, and they get Muhammad Ibrahim healthy,
huge,
and the defense was a top 10 defense last year. I got the Gophers. I thought
winning
the Big Ten
long
West.
And hard. I thought about the old Gophers.
The Gophers beat Purdue, Nebraska, and Wisconsin last year. Now the only problem is that they lost to Bowling Green and the Fighting Illini at home, both of them. So they were very hit or miss. They
were injured as fuck, dude.
They
were absolutely depleted from an injury standpoint last year. That's why I like them this year.
Only problem is they play at Nebraska and they finish the season at Wisconsin. Those are 2 tough road trips. They get Purdue at home. So it really depends on who do you think are the top 2 or 3 teams in the Big Ten West. They get Iowa at home. That's kind of hard to say right now.
They avoid Ohio State and Michigan.
That's big.
Key. Yeah. I think they can win at Michigan State.
That's a big game too for them.
I think they can win potentially at Penn State. I don't think they're going to get both, but I think they can win. Those are to me they're like I wouldn't be shocked if they won one of those.
And if you're looking at an over ticket because their team total sits at 7.5, they should be 3-0 out of conference.
Well, I mean the game against the Buffs.
They won 30-0 in Boulder last year.
Yeah, but they had Mike Samford. Now Colorado does. So talk to me. All right.
We know Nick hates football on the Great Plains, but cornfield football, can that be something Nick buys into? I mean, this is fun. I like the Big Ten West.
It is a lot of fun, and I'm telling you, I'm probably gonna like when I picked Minnesota, and I saw Nick pick Purdue. I said, "Why the fuck am I not picking Iowa?" I should take Iowa. I should take Iowa.
Definitely the safer bet. But you know what? This is a division I don't care for. So let's have some fun. Let's pull a long shot, and I think Minnesota qualifies. I know Purdue qualifies. Who does Patty C have winning the West?
Chalky McChalkerson.
Iowa?
No, Wisconsin.
When's the last time Wisconsin won the West? So it's been a couple years, man. I think they've kind of fallen.
Was it 19? Maybe.
Yeah, that's my point.
Well, the thing is, it just looked to me like Wisconsin had a slightly easier path from a cross division standpoint. Only getting Ohio State again, having to go to Michigan State. Maybe I didn't take that into consideration as heavily as I should, but. Also getting Minnesota at home, I thought was a nice little tiebreaker. Then again, they have to go on the road or at Iowa or at Nebraska. I don't know. It's literally like picking a freaking.
That's what's great is
fish. What's the term there?
Fish in a barrel, man. Fish in a barrel.
I don't know what that means. But,
I don't know what that means either. Dude, here's the thing. Under Graham Mertz, they have not been that good. You go back to 19. That's not Graham Mertz, dude. That's Patty C's boy, Jack Cohn, lawn chair king of the world. All right. and until I see otherwise, I cannot take Graham Mertz. All right. You look at last year's wins. Even there were some games where I thought, man, if this guy sucks, you know what I mean? Like, he's holding them back. I mean, they beat Army by 6 points. Now that game, I think they were up 20-7 at one point in that game. But I don't know. I'm just not sold on Mertz. I think Jim Leonard and that defense will be nasty, and they're very well capable of winning the Big Ten West because someone's going to win this thing.
They are. But they also have a pretty damn tough schedule. So they have at Ohio State, and then they have 2 sets of back-to-back road games. The first is at Northwestern, at Michigan State. The second at Iowa, at Nebraska.
Ooh, those are brutal roads.
Their schedule's tough, man.
Well, especially because Northwestern gives them games at Ryan Field. I'm telling you, go look it up. They have a hard time with Northwestern at Ryan Field. So if you add in the other 3, I don't know. I mean, look, it could be
looking
Iowa.
at our spreadsheet. Me and Colby are both on the under, sitting at 8.5 for Wisconsin. Patty C's on the over. Honestly, I think they're going to be right there. I think Wisconsin probably goes like 8-4 or so, which is why I went under. I want to talk a little bit more Nebraska though, because here's another one where we have a difference. Colby's on the over.
Die hard like Bruce Willis, buddy.
Annually, me and Patty C are on the under. And look, I know everybody is saying all the close losses, new quarterback, Mark Whipple. First off, how quickly can that come together? Whipple's never coached Casey Thompson.
It doesn't need to come that quickly because their schedule's kind of soft. I think they're going to be 6-0 to start the season, buddy.
So have they improved the special teams? Look at these stats. I pull these up.
Yeah,
Nebraska
some of the players are gone.
Nebraska was 13th in the Big Ten in field goal percentage last year. They were 12th in punting average. They were 12th in kickoff return average, and they were dead last in punt return average. The worst special teams by far, all aspects.
No, not even in the Big Ten. In America.
Yes.
Right? I'm talking high school.
Fix
I'm talking
that.
ankle biters. I'm talking about every form of football I've ever fucking seen in my life.
Also,
that was the worst special teams.
And if you look at the defense, they were 12th in the Big Ten in sacks, and they only forced 12 turnovers on the whole year.
You know what though? And this is my point exactly. Sometimes it doesn't matter if you're like, I think last year's team might be a better actual football team than this year's team, but this schedule's genius. This schedule is all that matters in college football. That's why I've been saying college football is a pyramid scheme for a long time. Look, if they beat Oklahoma, which I actually think they can beat Oklahoma. I think Oklahoma's a little bit overrated coming into the season. Where's the for sure loss in the first 6 games? And that builds momentum and that builds craziness. And you've seen it with Indiana in 2020, every reference to 2020 in Indiana. But
it's really not out of the realm of possibilities to think of them 9-0 going into Michigan.
Yeah,
it is possible.
Come on, man. Tommy Frazier playing quarterback.
All right.
Is
Casey Frazier?
Corey Schlesinger at fullback?
Oh man, Dean Steinkooler and Zach Wiegert.
They could lose. They could lose to Northwestern in Ireland week 1. I'm definitely taking the points. Colby, tell me you're laying 12.5 or whatever it is. Tell me you're doing
this.
it.
I can tell you this: when people hit me up this offseason and it was at 14, I said, "Give me Northwestern at 12, 12.5.
Give me Northwestern."
Well, starting to have concerns.
To be fair, how many games do you think Vegas at this point has them favored in the first 9 games of the season versus Northwestern and Ireland? We already know Nebraska's
double-digit favorite. Guys, hold on. I was at the Northwestern game last year. It was 55-7. Nebraska won. So anyway, continue on, Pat.
Hosting North Dakota, they'll be favored
by double digits.
Hosting Georgia Southern,
double-digit favorite.
They'll be favored. Hosting Oklahoma,
I think that line's out right now, but Oklahoma's only a 3-point favorite.
Only a 3-point favorite. Okay, hosting Indiana,
double-digit favorite.
Going to Rutgers, easily a favorite.
I'd
probably
say 9
double
or 10,
digit.
9 or 10. Yeah,
Right.
yeah. Home against Illinois, double digit.
Purdue?
Probably.
Whoa! Don't forget that trip to West Lafayette, buddy.
That's true. That one Purdue will be favored probably by a field goal, maybe. No, probably less because if they're doing Penn State,
but if they just do what they're supposed to and then can pull 2 minor upsets according to Vegas, then they will be 9-0 going into Michigan.
I will
it's
say
not going to happen.
Purdue won in Lincoln last year, 28-23.
Yeah, but
now Adrian Martinez threw 4 picks.
I was about to say Nebraska probably outgained him by 400 yards and lost the game. It's going to be interesting to watch, man.
No, actually, it was a damn close. And if you look at total yards, they only outgained him by 50. Dude, when you lose a turnover battle 4-0.
Yeah. Well, honestly, that's the best thing they got going for them. Look, and I'm an Adrian Martinez guy, but holy fuck. I mean, you can go look at all those games. And you're like, dude, how do you fumble right there? The game is won against Michigan and you fumble this thing and give them life. It's just, it might be addition by subtraction though, for the Cornhuskers, if you know what I mean.
Ouch.
Make a case for, the Illini.
I'll make a case for them to go over 4.5 wins. How about that?
DeVito.
All right.
DeVito,
who
baby.
has a chance to get over 4? Who has a better chance to get over 4.5? And let me ask you this: are they actually different people? Greg Schiano and Brett Bielema at their respective jobs. Are they the exact same?
Brett Bielema has that photo where he's like in like Cabo with like a fucking like a cocktail, like he's just looks fat as shit. He just had like just threw back a fucking cocktail.
Different styles, but the product they bring to the field is just run the ball and play defense.
He went on a diet since that photo too. I can tell. You know,
right?
In year one, he won 5 games.
That's true.
But I think he can't replicate that at least and hit an over. Last year, he beat Nebraska week 0. And out of conference, they beat Charlotte, Penn State in that crazy overtime game, and then he beat Minnesota and Northwestern. Now, obviously, that's not that great. There were some bad losses, shut out by Wisconsin 24-0, but there's some close games too. Only lost by 4 at Purdue, lost by 3 at Maryland, lost by 6 to Rutgers, to 10 at Iowa. They were in almost every game last year. UVA whipped their ass.
Yeah, but I don't know that UVA is going to whip their ass this year. And Champaign, without Mendenhall and Robert and I, coaching them up.
Look, the quarterback situation is awful. We've established that. I don't know how they're going to get their wins, but I think they can hit 5 again because I do believe in Bielema building the offensive and defensive line.
Wyoming's getting 10.5. What? Who's making that line? Am I crazy? Am I crazy? They're the same fucking team. They're
should
the same
never
team.
be favored by 10.5.
It should be a fucking pick. You know what I mean? Like they're both
Wyoming
gonna run the hell.
replaces a lot of people, though. I'm torn on that game, honestly. Like, I think the Fighting Illini win. I think Wyoming could cover, but I mean, look at and they also have Chattanooga on the schedule. So if they can knock off those 2 teams, you got at 2 wins. And yeah, looking at the schedule, it's not easy to pick out wins, but it wasn't last year either when they beat Penn State or Minnesota. So I don't feel great about it, but I'm going the over on the Fighting Illini. I think they can at least match their amount of wins from last year.
Who did they get from the East last year? Because this year I'm looking at Michigan, Michigan State.
Michigan, they lost to Maryland and they lost to Rutgers.
That's the difference. Is they had Maryland and Rutgers. They lost to Maryland.
They went 1-2 in those games, so they could go 1-2.
That's true.
Well, if I'm just looking at the number of games straight up that I expect them to win and the number of games I expect them to lose, I expect them to win about 4 games. I expect them to lose about 8. Figure they lose some that they shouldn't lose, win some that they shouldn't win, wash it out. 4-8 seems to be where I think. That's why I'm on the under.
Let me ask you this.
They could start 4-0.
They could. Let me ask you this. Is Tommy DeVito an upgrade over Brandon Peters?
No.
/ Arthur Sitowski?
No. DeVito's awful. I watched enough Syracuse football.
At least he's got some mobility, though. Like he might be able to run for a couple first downs. First downs are like touchdowns for Illinois.
Didn't Rutgers hold them to 7?
Sorry, Patty. GBO Farms, what's up, man? We'll get to the SEC here shortly.
Either way, I had a hard time with Illinois. I'll be honest. That was my heart. Like I feel pretty good about everybody else. I mean, as good as you can feel with the Big Ten West, but Illinois was the one where I was like, I guess, I feel like I could if you told me, Colby, pick the one you're going to be flat out wrong with, I would easily say Illinois would be my first vote.
All right. So what's our favorite plays team total wise in the West?
First off, I like Minnesota at plus 450, and I know you took Purdue at plus 600. Just from looking at it from odds to win the Big Ten West, why aren't you playing those guys? Like I feel like that, like Minnesota's odds to win the Big Ten West, in my opinion, if I were setting these, are just as good as Wisconsin's. So
I think this is the year to take a long shot in the Big Ten West. Agreed.
But as far as like what win total, so obviously we picked Michigan as the one we like best in the Big Ten East. Big Ten West, the one that I like best.
Plus 600 really a long shot, or 600 to 1 really a long shot compared to or not 600 to
60 to 1.
60 to 1.
Yeah. I mean that's
pretty good.
That's great odds, yeah. I mean, which one do I feel best about? I think you got to go Iowa. They never have. I mean, very rarely. Look at these regular seasons I'm looking at. 10-4, 6-2, but it was a COVID year, right? 10-3, 9-4, 8-5, 8-5, 12-2. You'd have to go back to 2014 for the last time the under would have hit.
I like Northwestern over too.
Out of the West, I like Iowa on the over.
I think we got it.
Yeah.
Iowa's the most consistent, right?
Yeah.
And then I think that's the only one I really feel really great about.
I like the Minnesota one. I think they're going to do it. I mean, I don't know. All these teams, that's fucking hilarious. They have 4 teams with 7.5 win total.
Not all 4 are going to hit that over. Colby went over on all 4 of them. So you think it's really going to be like, well, you went over on most of these teams.
Not Wisconsin and not Illinois. All right. I was like, Mertz sucks ass and DeVito sucks ass. And Petrus is a legend, a lawn-chaired legend. That's the best part about it is Iowa doesn't need it. Like, I feel like Wisconsin, you need to be like Wisconsin's had some bad quarterbacks, but Cohn was just good enough.
Yeah.
Like Petrus is like the same as Mertz, but Iowa still wins. It's almost fascinating.
Yeah,
it's fascinating to me.
We almost know that
because they play way better
suck.
defense. They have a way more aggressive. Actually, Leonard has a pretty damn aggressive.
I just think they're great at special teams.
Maybe that is the difference.
Look, my Wisconsin fans or friends out there that all like Wisconsin, they always tell me, dude, Paul Christ, we're special teams every year, and I'm like, well, Nebraska. Scott Frost made him. Yeah, Scott Frost made him look like a fucking angel last year. Yeah. So most overrated team in the conference, guys. I'm curious your thoughts.
I said Nebraska. I mean, 7.5 wins for a team that won 3 last year. Say no more.
And they haven't had they haven't had like a winning season in a while.
Pretty black and white to me. That is overrated as shit.
I went even higher. I went with a
yeah.
team with an 8.5 total, Penn State, because I'm not buying Clifford, and they play in the tougher East. I don't see Penn State making that much noise this year.
I went Michigan State just because my theory, but I'll be honest. I kind of think I should pick Wisconsin too.
Yeah.
I just feel like why is Wisconsin's win total set higher? I think they should be 7.5 too.
Yeah, the entire division should be 7.5 wins.
Anyway, I got Ohio State and Michigan playing in the Big Ten championship.
No, you have Ohio State and Minnesota.
I'm sorry. What did I say? What did I say?
Michigan.
Yeah, I meant Minnesota. Sorry, Evan Williams is saying hello.
Yeah. When they do away with divisions, you will have Ohio State, Michigan.
There we go.
In the championship every year.
They should be in the championship, right?
Mostly, yes. Pretty much.
Patty, who you got?
Here's a little curveball for you guys. Michigan versus Wisconsin.
So they go into
the
horseshoe.
That's your all-time dream every year.
I love
like
Wisconsin.
Smash Mouth football.
Oh, I love that. I mean, that is a great game. Let's be honest. That's a fun one. And Wisconsin's given it to Michigan a bunch lately.
So Patty
who
C,
wins by more?
Let's clarify. Patty C, Michigan beats Ohio State in the horseshoe.
Michigan beats Ohio State in the horseshoe.
2 years in a row. All right.
Not convinced. You know, it's easy to see a tide turn. Dial that one up for me. But yeah, I think that I'm not convinced about Ohio State's defense.
It's easy to see a tide turn.
I'll tell you this, and with Ohio State getting all the press, like they're writing them in the national championship, they're writing them in the college football playoff. It's almost like Michigan didn't beat them last year and beat them decisively.
Right.
And look, Ohio State looked very iffy in a lot of games. In the Minnesota game, in the Tulsa game,
Oregon waxed
game.
them. Yeah.
Yeah, they looked iffy in a lot of games last year too. But man, that offense is dangerous.
People assume that the weather is going to be fine this year, but I feel like Ohio State, Michigan, it's usually kind of cold and dreary out.
Yeah.
You know, if we get that again,
dude, they're like 2 hours apart, so it's not like. Yeah.
Well, Michigan has built their team to play in cold weather more so than Ohio State has.
Yeah. And in Columbus, I mean, they're going to get the same weather as Ann Arbor. So sure, that could affect. I do think part of Michigan's success last year was the inclement weather slowed down Ohio State.
Yes,
it could again this year.
Well,
definitely.
and Ohio State didn't want to play smash mouth football even on the defensive side of the ball.
Right. They go down, they recruit Florida, they recruit Texas, they're throwing the ball all around, and then they forget, hey, we got to play in Ann Arbor this November. It doesn't always work out. It works out most of the time.
Yeah, you were on. I was completely off on Michigan last year. I'll give you credit there, Patty C.
Thank you, sir.
So my championship, and I kind of alluded to this, Ohio State versus Purdue. Look, we're about to go into the SEC where things are going to get very, very, very chalky. Why not have some fun with the long shot? Go Boilermakers and the best quarterback in obviously the West, but how about the whole freaking conference except for CJ Stroud?
I was waiting. Look, I made this case to Patty C because the Big Ten's a bunch of whores and they don't understand that like they are the Big Ten and you should be playing at Soldier Field and Lambeau and rotating the Big Ten championship between those two every fucking year.
Colby, don't look at the chat. It's just going to anger you.
Well, let me tell you this, buddy. Let me tell you this. The Big Ten West gets their ass kicked in these fucking dome games against Ohio State and against Michigan because their speed is better.
Yes.
Purdue is like the one team that I think could actually be efficient in the dome. You know what I mean? Like,
yes.
Maybe a little bit of Minnesota, but those two never end up there.
You know what kills me about Purdue though? So, and obviously I'm high on them. So they lost David Bell and Jackson Anthrope, their two leading receivers. Then they expect Milton Wright to step up. He is academically ineligible. If this was the SEC, they don't know how to spell academically ineligible. What the hell is that shit? Get the man on the field. I don't care what his grade is in his history class. Come on.
Yeah. TJ Finley wasn't just like evading police. They're like, he's locked up the starting job. He's locked up the starting job.
Colby, if you looked at chat, you know what I'm talking about.
GBO Farms. Is he just trying to get me fucking riled up? Is he just trying to get me fucking riled up?
Trolling.
All right.
Expert trolling job.
Listen, I'll go down to those fucking pontoon boats in Nashville, or no, I'm sorry, Knoxville. Evan Williams talking. All right. And look, why don't you guys schedule East Carolina? Stop being a bunch of pussies. All right. We want that action. All right. We want that smoke.
There we
go.
Right?
I like it. I was going to say, speaking of Purdue wide receivers, that is a reason that Aiden O'Connell may be actually the top quarterback in the NFL or in the Big Ten this year. I know, obviously, numbers wise, that's not going to be the case. But look at what Ohio State quarterbacks have done at the next level. Not always that much.
Mike Tomczak. He was a
legend. Joe Germain.
He was on the 85 Bears, right? Or no? I think he came after.
Brian Hoyer played for the Eagles for a couple of years.
As a Steelers fan, Tomczak put me through hell there for a while.
He said Brian Hoyer, Bobby Hoying. Brian Hoyer still playing football, buddy. And he got some chips on the Pats, I think, a couple of those years.
That's the Jameson talking.
There you go. Folks, I think the Big Ten West is going to be a bundle of fun. Sign me up for the Big Ten West. Big Ten East, talk to me when it's Thanksgiving, and I'll watch the. Who wins by more? Wisconsin against New Mexico State, Ohio State against Arkansas State, or Michigan against Hawaii?
Michigan, Hawaii.
I agree. You
think they're just gonna
Hawaii's
run for 600 yards on them?
Dude, they're gonna be so fucking terrible this year.
Those are all gonna be awful games.
No, Jerry Kill, baby. Mexico State, newest edition. By the way, I don't know if you guys saw this. New Mexico State is applying for membership in the Big Ten. They're gonna leave the SEC. They're playing at Minnesota and at Wisconsin this year. Shout out to the Big Ten, starting to take a page from Alabama. All right. We're going to talk SEC in a second here, but I got to get us paid, and I'm going to stop for in a second once we do the ad read to transition into part 2, the B-side. So if you catch a 5-second pause, that is us switching for podcast sake. If you're all watching on YouTube, just stay tuned. We got all this shit coming for you. So, all right. I want to tell you folks out there that the college football experience, Big Ten and SEC preview is brought to you by Run Your Pool. Look, Run Your Pool is the home of competition, bringing sports fans in their social circles together to compete, to connect, and make every game matter more. They say in the SEC, they say it matters more. Run Your Pool says, fuck you. All right. They say it matters more there. All right. No, Run Your Pool offers every type of game under the sun, from Pick'em to Survivor to fantasy pools. It is a one-stop shop for sports gaming with customizable features that you really don't get anywhere else. And check this out. We've teamed up with Run Your Pool. We're going to be hosting our own SGPN NFL Survivor contest, free to enter. Hop in right now to reserve your spot. $500 cash plus a $250 gift card to the winner. Sign up today at play.runyourpool.com/SGP. That's play.runyourpool.com/SGP. We're also brought to you by Sleeper. Sleeper's the fastest growing fantasy platform today with millions of players. You probably already have a fantasy league on there. I know I do. They just passed 4 million users. All right. You can take your Woodstock 69 and get out of here. 4 million users. All right. And now you could win on Sleeper by playing their brand new over under game. This thing's fantastic. You can choose 2 or more players in any sport you like, and you pick the over under based on their stat projection. And if you pick correctly, you can win anywhere from 2 times to 20 times the money you put in. With the NFL season right around the corner, Sleeper is the first sports contest game built into the fantasy experience, Patty C. Look, on your mobile phone right now, join our listener group at sleeper.com/SGP, and Sleeper will automatically match your first deposit up to $100. Once again, that's sleeper.com/SGP, and you'll get a $100 match on your first deposit. All right, and I'm going to pause real quick for station identification, guys.
There you go.
And we're back talking Big Ten football, talking SEC football, the future, the AFC, the NFC. Fuck all that, actually.
Terrible.
All right, fuck all that. All right, but we still love football. We want to watch the Big Ten football games, preferably without the schools in Los Angeles. We want to watch the SEC football games. We want to watch all this good fun. Let's get into it. The SEC's been the best conference in football for a Mississippi minute, Patty C.
Hello.
All right.
2007 when they really started taking over. I guess you could go as far back as 2004 when LSU got it done, but USC was definitely the squad to beat for a few years. But then after that, all SEC.
I mean, what Ohio State got? What one?
Two? Clemson got 2.
Yeah.
Florida State got 1, but mainly SEC.
But let's get into it because, and GBO Farm saying Tennessee Vols 12-0, book it.
Gotta love good fans.
Gotta love them, man. Gotta love them. SEC East, Georgia -550 to win the SEC East. Okay, just do we need a season? Do we need? Okay,
-250 to go over 10.5.
And I'm still, yeah.
Oh yeah, I mean, I'm not gonna bet it, but I'm on the over.
I was a bit surprised to see Florida odds favorite for second place in the SEC East, according to Las Vegas. Tennessee coming plus 1,000 for Florida, plus 1,100 for Tennessee, plus 1,200 for Kentucky, plus 4,000, so 40-1 for the Gamecocks, 80-1 for Missouri, and Vandy 400-1. Oh, Commodores, let's do this, guys. I thought it was hilarious, and I know GBO Farms is still probably pissed off about this because Kentucky preseason in the top 25. Yet Tennessee went to Lexington and had like 10 yards per play against them. It's a bit disrespectful if you base it on last season. And this year
was a close game though.
But still, that's who won on the road. All right, and
True.
who returns more? Tennessee does, not Kentucky. Anyway. What do you make of this besides how filthy it is that Georgia's that much of a favorite?
What I was going to say real quick is that why is Vegas putting these lines with Georgia, with Bama, with Ohio State at 10.5 team total and crazy juice? They don't want anybody to bet this, right? That's my only, I want like a Vegas insider to tell me why they put these lines at 10.5. Make
the case for Georgia losing 2 games.
I mean, well, they lose a bunch of people. How about that?
But it's not like, see, if you told me they had to go to Knoxville and they had to go to the swamp, they get Florida at the neutral site. They get the Oregon game at a neutral site.
I mean, they could lose 2 games, I guess. They could lose
to South Carolina, right?
State, and they could lose to Florida.
No, they've been known to drop a random.
I think it's 1 game. I think
so why not put the line at 11 or 11.5 for all 3 of those schools? The only thing I can take away is that they just really don't want action on these games.
Yeah, they're like, fuck it, Georgia's dominating.
Let me tell you what.
Nobody's going to bet -300 or whatever it is.
Florida slapped Georgia 2 years ago. 44-28. Florida almost beat Bama last year.
A lot has changed.
Yeah, Florida's got a lot. Look,
you guys think a lot has changed just because it didn't look good at the end of last year. You would be surprised what an offseason can do for a super talented football player.
A rivalry game.
He's crazy over there. Florida has brought in a bunch of transfers on the offensive line and the defensive line from Louisiana that followed Napier, and they're starting. So they're showing and they're going to go up against Georgia's defensive line.
They're starting a team that went 12-2 last year.
Look, I love the Sun
the worst
Belt,
division in football. Yeah,
they got beat pretty bad by Texas last year.
Let me see.
See what happens when they go play Georgia.
Georgia gave it to. Florida was hanging with Georgia till halftime last year, till they pulled away. Okay, that was when Florida's season fell apart.
Stetson
was
Bennett.
halftime. Oh, Stetson Bennett took over the game.
No. I'm saying that you can never. They never got up that far.
Well,
because
guess
Stetson
who's
Bennett.
still at Georgia?
That's Joe's, that's Joe's point on the chat. That good point, Joe, is that Stetson Bennett can have a couple clunkers where he just looks like an average walk-on that he is. So
a national champion walk-on.
And guess what? You don't have 15 first-round draft picks around you anymore. Or not first round, sorry. 15 draft picks.
They might have 12 now?
Yeah, probably. Yeah. They reload, but I'm just saying that is not the gap that everyone's making it out to be.
Florida?
Yeah, I'm saying that right now.
Look, I took the over on them, but I am a skeptic on the hire. I am a skeptic on the line of scrimmage that everyone's talking about. If those guys are instantly coming in and starting, I am concerned.
You be skeptical, but don't write them off. That's all I ask of you.
I've never even seen Anthony Richardson be impressive.
Then you haven't watched enough Florida football.
What? Even what did he?
It is like
game? Pick out the game and I'll watch the tape.
Super athletic quarterback.
He needs to make a big jump this year.
He's basically Denard Robinson. He's basically a more muscular Denard Robinson. That's what you're getting with Anthony Richardson.
He's dripping with potential, but he needs to put it all together.
Yeah, Patty C is convinced he's fucking John Heisman over here. What the fuck? I mean, this guy. Look, last year he completed less than 60% of his passes, 6 touchdowns, 5 interceptions, and all of a sudden. He wants to say he's the next
Denard Robinson.
First year starting, that happens sometimes. It takes a little while. Okay, he got his feet wet last year, but no, I mean I hear both y'all's points. On Patty is correct. He is dripping with potential. Colby is correct. He hasn't proven a damn thing yet. We're not sure if he can pass the ball very well. What's going to happen? And I think this is a great question as far as Florida's season in general. I think if Anthony Richardson makes a big step up, I think they cover the over with ease and they have a pretty good year. If he still can't put everything together, then I think they could be on the under. But I will say earlier in the preseason, this was at 7. The fact that it's gone down to 6.5, I think it's tough to not choose over. It's still Florida football.
I went over. I went over. And Anthony Richardson, I'm rooting for you. Great nickname. AR-15, big fan. Big fan of
Didn't he denounce
nickname?
that? Didn't he denounce it?
Did he?
I think he's no longer AR. He requested fans not to call him AR-15.
What, are they going to make a connection to that in a fucking school shooting?
Apparently he made the
Colby
connection.
treading on thin ice, buddy. We don't want any 1-star reviews.
It's like the time I don't know. I
say weed him out.
Ridiculous.
Give him the 1 stars that we don't want. Bitch ass fans.
Yeah, look, I'm not gonna drink Colt 45 anymore because it's recommending that people use a Colt 45 at 7-Eleven. Right? What the fuck? What the fuck is going on? Right?
Is Billy D. Williams still doing Colt 45 commercials?
He needs to be. All right. God bless that man.
We're definitely showing our age now.
Yes. Everyone's like, who is he? Billy D. Williams is here, running back for Florida. What are we doing here, guys? We're getting crazy here. Is Florida better than Tennessee or Kentucky? I say no.
No. I agree.
I'm on the over with Florida, and I'm saying that. But Florida's got that regional battle against Eastern Washington, which I think they'll win. I think Florida will beat South Florida. Then they'll probably beat Florida State because Florida State will probably be coachless at that point. And then they'll beat Vandy and Missouri, and all of a sudden you're at what, 5? Is that 5 right there? They might even be able to beat Utah because it's gonna be hot as shit. I know that game's at night though. I don't know how Utah finagled that. If I was Florida, I'd be like, we're playing this at noon.
Yeah.
I think Tennessee and Kentucky are gonna be better than Florida this year. All right. I
agree.
I think South Carolina might be better than Florida this year. I think that's where it gets a little gray for me. I'm like, I don't know who's better. I kind of think I go Florida, right?
If you're looking at team totals, that it kind of makes sense. If you're looking at odds to win the SEC East, it doesn't. Maybe, I mean, I guess they assume Florida has a tough a tougher out of conference having Utah and Florida State on the schedule because their total's at 6.5. Tennessee's at 7.5. Kentucky's all the way to 8.
Well, Kentucky's out of conference every year.
Yeah.
Come on.
I think they're probably
Calipari should have brought that up.
Looking at the history of these programs and showing that, hey, Kentucky never wins the conference. Tennessee rarely wins the conference. If anyone's going to do it aside from Georgia, it's going to be Florida. And because they actually do get some traction on the talent that they have, whereas these other teams just don't have that level of talent.
Joe Hackney saying, boys are shitting on Patty C. You need to trust this man who gave you ULM on the over. Trust him.
You're damn right.
Yeah.
I think I think we have to remind people every week that Patty could not see the message board. Maybe it's a good thing because I think his ego might be inflated now. If so,
yeah, we forgot to give it to him. Right, his computer is Packard Bell, so couldn't get internet there.
Hipster Colby has to be on the iPad. He only does Apple products over here.
Anyway, look, Patty C. He got lucky on that one, Joe. All right, he had the over in ULM because Patty C. and Rich Rod must have met at a bar in Morgantown and fucking Rich Rod bought him a few Jaeger bombs, and he's convinced he's the greatest. He's Rocky Lombardi. He's convinced Lombardi part 2.
Rich Rodriguez has proven it. Well, you know what it is though. Take it with a grain of salt. I am TMZ Pat. I am blue blood believer Pat. I also took USC on the over last year, so
yeah, he did, and Florida State.
But that was a half a game off on a fucking Hail Mary. I don't really feel bad about that one, but. The USC was terrible, but I just think if you're looking at a team, a program like Florida, whose recruiting rankings over the past 5 cycles have all been in the top 17.
They fired Mullen because he wasn't recruiting.
Well, and yeah, apparently like they were still top 17, even if that's not up to Florida standards. If that tells you anything about this program. So
Congo in the chat, shout out to Congo. Great fucking movie. Do you think ESPN will jettison the Big Ten as they did the NHL? What would that woke the ESPN? Would that wake? What does that mean?
I'm not sure, but I don't think it's not ESPN's decision. I think the Big Ten is making the decision to leave ESPN, right?
Yeah, to not sign a contract with them, not even negotiate with them, right?
And I do think they're going to do that. I mean, that's one thing that I was actually listening. I don't know who the hell I was listening to talk about that. I think it was like a TV expert that.
Don't plug anybody else, buddy.
No, but he was saying that that he expects them to do it. Obviously, to a minimal degree, you got to cover Ohio State, Michigan. But it is interesting how those two conferences became so big and so powerful because of their ESPN ties. Hey, Larry Scott, you should have done what you had to do to connect with ESPN.
I mean, we're going off on a tangent here, but it's kind of a ballsy move by the Big Ten if that happens, because there is something to say about ESPN and the power that they have, because people tune in to the ESPN for sports coverage more so. I mean, tenfold more so than any other platform, and I do think ESPN will limit the coverage of Big Ten if they don't have a contract with the Big Ten.
Look, we all know college football. We love college football, but it is also a sham. All right. ESPN controls a lot of the power in the rankings. It's fucking ridiculous.
The fact that we take up time talking about TV contracts and shit I don't know anything about this stuff. I want to talk about the games.
Is Jeopardy still on at 7:30?
Yeah, 7 o'clock on the East Coast.
Well, you know what? I'll say this. The Big Ten, while we're on the topic, Big Ten, if they can get some other conferences, I think who else were they in negotiations with? Fox or
no, they got Fox, CBS, and NBC.
Okay,
right? And
then you talk about Big 12 potentially being in shoulder programming negotiations with the likes of NBC. Then there's this conglomerate that's not the ABC, ESPN thing with the SEC that there's enough programming on those things that it legitimizes football outside of the ESPN realm, and then those things become reasonable.
Good round, you're celebrating with your
I'm just talking out my ass. Fair enough, but look, what I'm saying is this: ESPN owns everything right now, and they kind of control this shit. So you have to invest in something else eventually, or else you're just going to get bowed out, which has kind of happened already.
And Joe, what is Joe quoting?
Is that true?
What is he quoting?
Are those stats right?
No, because I don't know if he's adding in our bonus locks, because I know I pulled up the numbers. I got him on another spreadsheet here. All right, shop to your drop
why
customers.
do I have one less game than you two guys?
Well, that makes sense. You're normally a little bit of a coward when it comes to. I'm joking. I don't know why, but anyway, guys, we're supposed to be talking. This is getting sloppy here. Let's talk SEC East football right now. Make me a case for anyone besides Georgia winning the East. Kentucky, they're getting hype. Will Levis, maybe the first quarterback drafted next year. I still don't believe that, but they're telling me that.
I think the best case is probably Tennessee. I mean, I think Kentucky, even though their win total is a half game more, they have 2 starters returning on the offensive line. They lost both their top pass catchers. Wan'Dale Robinson is on the New York Giants. I like the quarterback in Levis, and they have a pretty good 1-2 punch at running back with Rodriguez and Courvoisier Smoke, another great name.
And they added Raymond Jefferson from Sam Houston State.
Yeah, but
He's
I think,
good.
2 back on the offensive line, big time question mark. Only 5 returners on defense. And to Patty C's point earlier, when has Kentucky done this?
Well,
when have they even flirted with winning the big,
last year
SEC
was last year was a fucking flash in the pan. And look, Stoops, you're doing a great job, but at the same time, this is why a large playoff would be great. They were fool's gold last year, man. They were fucking.
Here's
fool's
the thing:
gold.
they just have such a favorable schedule compared to Tennessee. Tennessee getting Alabama and LSU back-to-back weeks in the cross division slate. I mean, you combine that with Georgia, that's probably 3 losses. And even if they get an upset on one of them, that's still 2 conference losses.
Kentucky gets Mississippi State every year, right?
Yes.
That is so unfair.
Yeah, that is. They are 5-1 last year in games decided by 7 points or less.
Yeah.
That includes Missouri, Chattanooga of the FCS, South Carolina, Florida, Iowa, and the one they lost to Tennessee. But yeah, I just think they're kind of fool's gold. I think they're kind of fool's gold.
I just think it's totally unfair that Tennessee gets Alabama every year, while Kentucky gets Mississippi State.
Yes, that is unfair.
Extremely.
Very much so.
Extremely.
So, I mean, I just think scheduling wise, Kentucky's probably got as good a chance to get through their non-conference slate or their conference slate with 1, or I guess at most they can have 2 losses and have an upset on Georgia, and then Georgia drops 2 along the way. That's probably how they'll get there. And I can see Kentucky losing to.
What's your order in the East
in terms of finishing?
Like I do think Nick's probably right.
Or in terms of likelihood to win it.
Georgia's going to win this thing, I think, but. Like
Tennessee has a higher ceiling because they have like a puncher's chance. They have the better offense that can go toe to toe with anybody. And if the defense gets better, which signs are pointing towards, that could happen. I mean, 7 players return on the defense. They were very bad last year, but you could see a scenario happening where the offense is just as good as last year. That's not going anywhere. If the defense gets better, Tennessee has the highest ceiling of any other team not named Georgia in the East.
From a talent perspective, but I think their schedule's too hard with Florida and Bama cross division.
That's
think
fair.
Kentucky's got a way easier path, and I think it's more likely.
What about your Gators?
I think the Gators.
You think Kentucky's better than Florida this year?
Maybe. That's tough.
What about South Carolina? What's that order? That's what I'm saying. Like, who's the best teams?
Who are the best teams from a talent perspective? I think Tennessee's the best team. Then I think Florida, Kentucky's a push. Obviously Georgia's the best, but then Tennessee, then Florida. But I think from a chance to win the whole thing, I would say Georgia, and then I think Florida and Kentucky are actually tied, and I think Tennessee's below them because I think Tennessee's schedule is just that much harder.
Yeah. I mean, already like starting things off right at the bat with 1 loss to Alabama, that makes it tough.
Is there any chance Missouri will find themselves in the mix?
I don't think so. Look, shout out to the Missouri fans who apparently did not like our breakdown of the Tigers, especially on Reddit. Apparently, we were getting a lot of heat from the Missouri fans. You know what? Bring it on, man. That's what being a good fan's all about.
Yeah.
So no problem there. But I don't see it happening.
Yeah, bring it on when you hire Urban Meyer next year. All right. All right.
I mean, look, Missouri is the most forgettable team in all of college football right now. They are irrelevant in their own division, and it's only 7 teams.
UConn or Missouri?
Oh,
who's more forgettable?
Come on,
UConn at least plays regional games. Okay, Missouri can't even play regional games in their own freaking division.
Border battle. All right. South Carolina, make me a case for the Gamecocks. I think they are the true enigma here. I thought they were absolute dog shit last year. They should have never been a bowl team, and here they are. They won 7 games, but they did land some home run hits in the transfer portal that you cannot ignore. So they are much more talented this year, which makes me wonder.
Well, they won that many games without a quarterback last year.
Dude, East Carolina should have beat them. East Carolina had them beat for like 59 fucking minutes.
They had
absolutely crazy.
They should play in the Big Ten West with that quarterback situation last year.
Zeb Nolan, baby.
So yeah, now that they have a real life quarterback, I think I know me and you are on the over. I think it's tough because it's at 6 even, and that might be where they end up. But I don't see them going backwards in year 2 under Beamer.
You guys might be right. I might be sleeping on South Carolina here. I think their schedule is hard.
I just think they added nice pieces. The wide receiver from JMU, the tight end Stogner, Christian Beal Smith at running back, and Spencer Rattler at quarterback.
You know what? You convinced me. I'm going over on South Carolina as well.
You see that?
It's easy to see a tide turn.
All right, so I mean, this is the easiest fucking division to handicap, right? Georgia.
Do we touch Vandy?
Does Vanderbilt win over 3 games?
I actually like the over because I think they could start off 3-0.
I think they could, but
they're going to beat Wake,
dude. I'm taking.
I'm sorry. I was okay. So I think they start off. Well, they could beat, especially without Hartman now. So I thought it was Hawaii, Elon, and Northern Illinois. The first.
So 3-1, 3-1 then.
Yeah,
dude.
Northern Illinois could be tough, but
Northern Illinois is going to be favored.
I think Vander's going to be better. I think the defense is going to be better. I think they definitely beat Hawaii and Elon. So one more game.
I went over too, thinking that they could maybe get Missouri or Northern Illinois. I don't feel good about it.
I mean, they only lost.
I'd say they're going to win. They're going to win one SEC game this year.
Yeah, they'll catch someone. Lee's building this thing one.
They got their game at a time. I guess the South Carolina game they were in last year. They were getting their ass kicked in a lot of games.
They barely beat UConn last year. Okay.
How do you have that much faith? All right, yeah, Georgia. We all have Georgia winning. And a surprise team. Does Tennessee count, or does South Carolina count as a surprise team in the East?
I think South Carolina would.
Well, I got them bowling, as I don't have them like winning fucking 8 or 9 games.
I'll save that because our team that will surprise is for the whole conference.
The whole conference.
Okay. Well, look, before we get to the SEC West, I want to tell you that the college football experience is brought to you by Trade Coffee. Trade Coffee connects customers to the freshest and best tasting coffee they've ever made at home by partnering with the country's best craft roasters. These are independent businesses from big cities and small towns. Trade customers are truly impactful for these independent roasters, often being the large source of new growth for them. Let me tell you, Trade Coffee is expert tasted coffee. Trade Coffee's team actually taste tests thousands of coffees, and they keep over 450 different kinds live, ready to ship out at any time. There's no one perfect coffee, but there is a perfect coffee for you, and Trade human powered algorithm is going to find it for you. All right. So right now, Trade is offering new subscribers a total of $30 off your first order plus free shipping when you go to drinktrade.com/SGP. That's more than 40 cups of coffee for free, people. Get started today by taking their quiz at drinktrade.com/SGP and let Trade find you a coffee that you'll love. We're also brought to you by Dave. No, not who's a Dave? Give me a Dave.
Super Dave Osborne. I mean,
this is a football Dave, right?
Dave Butts.
David Cutcliffe.
David Cutcliffe. There we go. We're talking SEC. He was a longtime SEC coordinator and head coach of Ole Miss. But now we're not talking Dave Cutcliffe. We're talking Dave, the banking app that can help you get up to $500 instantly with extra cash. I mean, that's more money to fill your tank, buy a wedding gift, catch up on bills, because we've all been in a jam where you needed some money. All right. You no longer have to rely on mom or dad or brother and sister or, Ed, the neighbor. You know what I mean? Like, now you don't have to be embarrassed. Just give Dave a call. Download the Dave app and you get $500 instantly with extra cash. All right. There's no interest. There's no credit check needed. And so get in there. Get into the App Store right now and download Dave. That's DAVE. Sign up for an extra cash account and get up to $500 instantly. For terms and conditions, go to dave.com/legal. Instant transfer fees apply. Banking provided by Evolve, member of the FDIC. All right, we're also brought to you by Sling. It's college football season, people, which means, hey, let's go watch these games, and that's why you need Sling. All right, Sling has the unbeatable coverage of Sling TV, starting at $35 a month, and the Sling has all the biggest games on the biggest channels like ESPN, ESPN2, ESPN3, SEC Network, ACC Network, Fox, and the Big Ten Network, all for the best price. You can stream it on any device, record up to 50 hours with included DVR space. You can pause or change your service at any time. Check out sling.com for special offers. Sling, the live TV you love for a price you'll love. All right, we are back talking SEC football. Let's SEC West, these odds. Bama. Well, we thought that Georgia minus 550 was bad. Bama minus 600 to win the SEC West. A&M plus 700. Ole Miss plus 2,000. Arkansas plus 2,200, LSU plus 3,000, Mississippi State plus 5,000, Auburn plus 8,000. So 80-1 for Auburn to win the SEC West. Guys, is anyone a threat to stop Alabama this year? I think we know that answer, right?
Yes. Talk me into A&M.
I can't because I actually don't have A&M finishing second. I'm not buying in. Look, Haynes King, fucking Brad Johnson's son, Max Johnson. I'm not buying it, man.
And even with a couple of great recruiting classes, that doesn't mean like it's ready to produce right away.
Yeah, I think you're losing. I guess you have Devin A-Chain, who you're expecting, but Spiller was a better.
Weidmeyer was a beast tight end too.
Yeah. I think there's a lot of question marks on the offensive side of the ball. And the defense, you're right, is it probably maybe another year or two away. So,
call me crazy, but I just feel like I got LSU finishing second.
I'm definitely on the over. I love it's in at 7. I mean, it's a bet on Brian Kelly, like in general, that like no matter what you would think about him, his accent, his dance moves, the dude has won wherever he's been, and he still has talent there. It's a tough schedule, but 7 over. I'm all day over 7, definitely.
Yeah, and I actually think they pose the best threat to Bama because they get Bama in Baton Rouge.
You're probably right.
Yeah.
I mean, but look, A&M did beat Bama last year, right?
Yeah, but that was one of those Michigan State wins. You know what I mean? They had a kick return for a touchdown. They were they needed everything to go right.
Even though I liked Lane Kiffin and Ole Miss, this isn't the year.
No, but their schedule is talk about just
the back end of that schedule.
But the first 8 weeks, it's worse than Nebraska's.
Oh, I'm on the over, but as far as competing with Alabama, no.
I agree. I actually think LSU is the second best team in this conference, and then probably A&M. But I think Mississippi State's going to be better. I know people say Coach Leach is our guy, and he is, but I really believe. I mean, if Mississippi State had a kicker last year, they probably go 10-2. Go look at those losses. All right.
Mississippi State brings back 17 starters. Second highest in the SEC West is Auburn with 13. Everybody else is around 10 or so.
Yeah, I'm telling
Mississippi State, other than Alabama, they might have the second best defense.
Yeah,
in the division to go along with that offense.
I would not be surprised if they finish second. I think.
I would not LSU.
Either. Yeah, I put LSU, but I would not be surprised if Mississippi State finished right past that.
Their schedule is tough.
Yeah, they draw
Georgia.
And Kentucky at Kentucky. So
brutal. But one of my favorite plays is the over on 6.5 wins for Mississippi State. I don't think they're ready to knock off Bama. I don't know if Leach will ever have them that high, but I like their spot here to be, top 3 or so in the division and definitely hitting over 6.5.
Gosh, I feel like I'm sleeping on them. Their non-conference slate is very manageable. Memphis at Arizona, Bowling Green, and Eastern Tennessee State. I think I'm being foolish. I think I got to go over. I think you guys convinced me on that one too. There's just enough games though at LSU, A&M, Arkansas, who they beat last year, admittedly, but at Kentucky, Alabama, Auburn, Georgia, and at Ole Miss. That's not an easy schedule they're going up against.
No, it's a brutal schedule.
It is.
I mean, you look at last year, like I said, you had that crazy Memphis play where the ball was down, They had Memphis beat. The SEC even apologized, or the AAC,
that was
whatever
one of the worst
it was,
calls
right?
I've ever seen. Yeah.
Then you had the 3-point loss to LSU, missed field goals. Alabama waxed them, but Alabama waxes everyone. They had the Arkansas game, missed field goals, and then the Ole Miss one. The Ole Miss one, there was a drop in the end zone. There was some bad, but their kicking was just atrocious all year. They went up and they got the Coastal Carolina yeah. So I do think, and I just think Will Rogers another year in that offense. I think it normally takes 3 years.
Yeah.
For the quarterback.
Do you
play.
go from a step behind to a step ahead in year 2? Is it, or is it year 3 now? Year 3 with Will Rogers. So maybe it finally does click.
We all know the SEC West is a grind, which is why all 7 teams are at 6.5 or over, which is pretty crazy. Part of that is because of the 8-game conference schedule. So a lot of these teams can, their record is going to be, inflated with some bad teams, but it is a grind. So who's going to be the worst team? Are we all on Auburn as the worst?
I am.
I think this is the same thing as Florida to me, and you guys are showing this is your TMZ moment here, right? Where you guys think, okay, Napier hasn't proven it yet, Harsin hasn't proven it yet. I think these guys are both good coaches. These programs are both excellent. They've recruited really well, and it takes Harsin. He was close in several games last year that didn't go his way. He's had the whole offseason to make it his. Auburn typically does better than this.
Oh, he's made it his. All right. Let me tell you, he's made it his by what? They tried to get him. They tried to. This is a disaster. This is a fucking dumpster
well, he
fire.
said,
does he?
Fuck you.
Well, he just doesn't want to quit because he won't get paid all that money.
He doesn't want to quit because he's going to win. He's going to do better this year. You guys are completely forgetting that all Auburn had to do was down the ball and not, stay in bounds. Yeah. And they beat Bama. Okay.
But they also barely beat Georgia State.
Still a good program, Auburn. They're going to be better this year. I don't necessarily agree.
But why are they going to be better? Because the quarterback play, Nix is gone.
You shat on Bo Nix all last year. Now you're going to tell me that this is some kind of
I'll take
step
Nix
down to lose Bo Nix.
I mean, Calzada is not as good as Bo Nix.
No, he is not. Yeah. But Bo Nix was injured for several games too. Was he even playing against Alabama last year? I don't think he was.
It might have been Finley. Right?
Look, I just think Auburn is too talented to just be slept on. Now their schedule. Let me see their non-conference. Auburn's. They don't have an away game until October 8th. San Jose State at home, Penn State at home, and Western Kentucky. Yeah. There's 4 wins right there, probably. So
chalking up the Nittany Lions as a win, huh?
I am just chalking up the Nittany Lions as a win. You don't come down to the Plains and push them out. 28-20 last year in State College. You act like that's like a gimme for Penn State. And guess what? Now we are in SEC country.
I got Penn State winning that one, and watch out. San Jose State's going to give them a game.
I damn sure, to Patty's point, I damn sure don't feel great about the under at 6.5 with Auburn.
Well, especially since they don't play a road game. Like they really could be if they beat Penn State. I mean, they could start the season 4-0, and then maybe the LSU game. I don't know.
And they still have talent there. For me, I just went under because it could be a train wreck of a season. Yeah, if they fire the head coach midway through or something and everything just unravels. So for me, it made sense to go under, especially in a division where I liked a lot of overs. I had to find some unders somewhere. So my 2 unders for the SEC West is A&M and Auburn.
I went Arkansas too. I'm
the only person that went over on Arkansas, and I certainly don't love it, but they went 8-4 last year, and Sam Pittman is just doing a great job in Fayetteville. KJ Jefferson is back, as is an excellent offensive line.
Still, the out of conference, man. Cincy at BYU, Road Rash Face and Bobby Petrino and Liberty. All 4 are pretty solid.
We all did this last year. Last year, we all looked at the schedule and said, damn, Arkansas's got a brutal schedule. No way in hell they get to 6. What was the over-under last year? 6?
Yeah, but no. Last year's out of conference schedule was Rice, Texas, Georgia Southern, and Arkansas Pine Bluff. All 4 had losing records. I highly doubt BYU and Cincinnati will have losing records, and Missouri State is like an FCS top 10 team. Yeah,
I still think they go 3-1 probably out of conference.
Nope. And I'm going to tell you that should we get to it?
And who do they get from the other side? They get what? South Carolina and Missouri. That's nice.
Favorable.
That's nice.
Yes, it is.
So get to it. What are you talking, Patty C?
My most overrated team,
Arkansas.
In the SEC is Arkansas this year. I think you have to do it for more than 1 year. This team, let's look at their last few years coming into this season: 4-8, 2-10, 2-10, 3-7, 9-4. Is there a chance that last year was a flash in the pan? Maybe. Did they look legit? Yeah, they did. They looked really good last year. I think Pittman is doing it. I just think with that out of conference schedule and then the SEC West, gonna be tough to get to 8.
That's fair.
I went under too. I mean, I think the most overrated team in the SEC, though, I'm going Kentucky. I think they were fool's gold last year, so that was an easy decision for me.
Well,
I still
think.
I know. I still think they could win 8 games because the out of conference schedule. I think they're going to go 4-0 out of conference. You add Vandy there, it's 5. Missouri 6. It's like, could they win 2 tough games potentially? I still went under on Kentucky, but I don't feel great about it. But I do think they are overrated.
Yeah.
And my overrated team, just much like the Big Ten, I went with the bigger favorite, the team with a higher win total. My most overrated team is Texas A&M. Prove it to me on the field, boys. I don't care about your recruiting classes. What are you going to do on the field? How's your quarterback play going to be? And are you going to really take a next step and be a real contender? I have my doubts.
Yeah. All right. Team that will surprise.
I went back and forth between Arkansas and A&M, by the way. So I agree with you completely.
It says team that will surprise, not teams. Guys.
All right.
Both of y'all cheating a little bit.
All right. I'll pick one.
It's not plural.
I'll narrow it down.
Well, I mean, look, I want to take LSU, but are they really surprising people? I know the win total says that, but it's LSU. They won a national championship just a couple years ago. So in regards to that, then I'll take Mississippi State because they don't win all the time. And so give me Mississippi State as the team that was surprised, even though I do think LSU finishes second.
I'm with you. Mississippi State also.
Do you think that's a surprise to a lot of people? Mississippi, are they still getting slept on nationally?
Mississippi State? Yes.
I mean, I think you're right.
Yeah. Their team totals at 6.5. It's tied for lowest in the Big Ten,
West,
SEC West. Jeez, Big Ten.
What do you think the ceiling for Mississippi State is this year?
Second place in the SEC
West. I think they could be like 9-3.
Yeah,
that would be great. That would be great.
Patty C's team that surprises. Florida Gators, he says.
Florida Gator. It was between Auburn and Florida. I think they're like I mentioned before, similar thing, high upside, getting slept on a little bit. I think that Florida's just got the easier draw in the SEC East, so I guess that's going to be my play.
Also sitting at 6.5. I like it.
Yep.
And guys, what's your conference championship game?
Vanderbilt.
This was boring.
Look,
this was. I know they'll say I'm an SEC hater. It's boring as fuck to cover this conference. I was sitting there saying, who could surprise? These odds are fucking insane. Okay, let me ask you this: if you had to pick one to fall, who would it be? Would it be Georgia or Bama?
Georgia.
I would say Bama.
Really? Because the SC West is so much harder than the.
Yeah.
And they got to play it in Baton Rouge.
They got a bunch of teams gunning for them.
I don't know.
Yeah, but it's got to be Georgia this year. There's so much more inexperienced.
Yeah, and they've been to the mountaintop. It's always tough to repeat.
That's true. Right. That is true.
All right, folks, this does it for us. Next week we will have our locks going for our totals, win totals, season locks, and also week 0 picks. I cannot wait for this next week to go by.
We got games actually. Don't forget DFS, Colby.
Yes. And the DFS show will be out next week. We will have that covered.
You playing this year?
Boom! I'm playing this year.
Boom! Subscribe to the College Football Experience, and also hope you watched it on YouTube. Subscribe over there at youtube.com/the College Experience. Also, remember, college basketball previews are already starting to drop. Subscribe to the College Basketball Experience. Also, subscribe to the Sports Gambling Podcast. They're going through all 32 NFL teams. For NFL coverage, we got you covered. Solo podcast for every single team in the land. Remember, also, the NFL Gambling Podcast just dropped. Brand new feed. And check out all of our other feeds. It's MLB season right now. MLB Gambling Podcast. Formula One Gambling Podcast. You go on and on. Whatever sport you can think of, we got you covered. Also, check out the Discord channel. Come talk college football with us, people. All right? You think we're idiots? Hop in the Discord channel. Tell us that. All right? SportsGamblingPodcast.com/Discord. And Get that SGPN app too. It's free to download. All right. All right, folks. This is the college football experience. SEC Big Ten Conference Championship preview. You better start thinking about yours. And we out of here.
Thank you. Well, this is a great way to get started. And I haven't even won all my games yet. It's a great night to be a Tiger. I'm here with my family, and we are so excited to be in the great state of Louisiana, but more importantly,
at the Olympics. Doesn't matter who wins because they're all losers.
It's easy to see a tide turn.
Hello? You play to win the game. You don't play to just play it. It's Division I football! It's the Big 12!
Well, I don't get. They ain't cold, but they're counting down 7-6-5.